Hey guys, Ningen here bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and today we are going to talk about some team building options for the Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks EZA that is going to go live once the maintenance is over. I'm pretty sure by the time this video goes live the maintenance will have just started. It's only a fairly short one, so I thought I'd very quickly go over some of the options. So it's a very standard EZA, the typical 30 stages. Can't be stunned once you reach stage 5. Can't be attack lowered once you reach stage 15, and then can't be sealed once you reach stage 20. So those are things that are important to remember. There is in fact one unit that we're going to bring who is a stunner but has other uses as well. And then it's the typical sort of thing. You will obviously get all the medals. You get a nice amount of orbs. I think it's, if you have the unit at 0%, you get enough to, I think, get them to 90%. I don't think it's enough to 100% them, but still, that's very, very useful, especially for someone like me who already has him Rainbow. So it's just a nice bunch of spare tech orbs for someone else. 30 stones and 11 Kais, 5 of which you probably will be using on him, which gives you a nice few left over. All of this info is kind of the same as the last ones have been. There's a couple of missions as well, so you'll get a few extra stones. It's like 34 in total. And then of course it's the youth category that deals the extra damage. So this will be interesting for a lot of people because not a lot of people went for Kid Goku. I'm actually really looking forward to seeing how many people are actually going to have him set as their friend, because recently after I pulled him and was trying to make videos using his team, it was very difficult to find any. So hopefully because of the EZA everyone will have him set. So he is obviously going to be our starting point. So Kid Goku, if you have him, is obviously the leader that you want to use. He's the right typing, he is the youth category leader, giving everyone 150% and 3 ki. He's a very, very good unit. I won't go over any of the units really in huge detail, but especially not this Goku, because we've covered him in previous videos. You can go back and check my last couple of videos if you want a more in-depth look at what he does. But he will most likely be your leader. If you don't have him, there's two different ways you can go. So if you want to stick with the youth category and be able to mix some of your typings, then we have the LR Kid Gohan from the original stages of Super Battle Road. So unless your account is brand new, you're probably going to be able to get one copy of this guy. Because I don't think it's not shown on this page, but the easiest way to get a copy of him is to do one of the stages. I think it's 20 times, not 10. And nowadays, with all the categories that you can make mono teams out of, I've even done a lot of videos for them here on the channel. You should be able to do at least one of the stages of the original Super Battle Road 20 times, even if it is literally only one that you can do. Because so many categories you can run mono teams. Like if you pulled the LR Go Bros, you can do Super Tech using an entire tech team based on their category leader skills. I know Extreme AGL, you can make a pretty good movie bosses team. So there's loads you can do. So like I say, unless your account is fairly new, I would imagine you can probably get one copy of this guy. And then I haven't actually brought up a Patreon, I realise, but if you want to go the full int route and you don't have the Kid Goku, then obviously you can use Gogeta, who has 120% to super int types, but he himself will not do particularly well. Obviously I build my teams based on getting as high as I can. You guys will know if you've seen these like EZA team building videos I've done before, but most people obviously will only want to get to and complete stage 30. He will probably be perfectly fine for that, although on stage 30 itself he will take quite a lot of damage. Although you could also use this guy, so he is here as one of our first picks for the team after the Kid Goku, the LR Gohan. So he has an int types 3 ki and 90%. You could definitely get by with this guy as your leader and then a friend Kid Goku. Obviously again he's an LR, so not everyone's going to have him, but he is going to be one of the biggest damage dealers on the team most likely, depending on how many orbs you pick up for him, I guess, because he has the right typing. He's an LR, even though he's an older LR, you know, he's got LR stats, and he's got type advantage, like, and he's in the category, so he's going to do really well. LR Gohan's not the best defensive unit, but because he's in the category, he should be okay, at least up to stage 30. He's probably one of the units that, for me, depending how far I try and get, he'll start taking quite a bit of damage in the higher stages, but he should be very useful. So I should say, this guy and the next few cards, these are the team that I am bringing. So I'm bringing this Kid Goku and then the next 5 units. The first one being LR Gohan. Then we have this Gohan. So this is going to seem like a random choice. I'm sure there's some people out there, depending when you started playing the game, you might not actually have ever even seen this unit before, depending on how involved you are with the World Tournament. So he was a World Tournament reward from quite a long time ago. You can see LR Piccolo was still the World Tournament reward back then. But I'm fairly sure he's in the banner now. So anyone who has done the World Tournament recently, if you've done the World Tournament unit ticket summons, you might have this guy. The reason he's good is obviously, again, we're looking for int types, we're looking for youth category units, and then his passive is 3 key, attack and defense 60% when facing 2 or less enemies. So obviously for this entire EZA we're only facing 1 enemy. He also raises his attack and defense when he super attacks. So if he supers before he takes any hits, he gives himself a 90% defensive boost. I did a showcase for him when he first dropped on the Gogeta Super Int team with barely any orbs in him, and I was genuinely surprised at how well he was able to defend. So in this particular event, where we're looking for units of this type and in this category, he's going to be very, very good. If I wasn't so short on int orbs, I think I had to use almost all of mine to get my Kid Goku to 55%. I would definitely put orbs into this guy for this event. He's very good. And as a World Tournament unit, he will eventually get an awakening, which will make him even better. So he is a unit that if you have, definitely use him. Then we go on to the Gotenks and Ghost. Now, if you didn't ever get them, their event goes live after the maintenance as well, when the EZA starts, which is, of course, the perfect opportunity because he's very good for this event. So he has a high chance to stun, which, as we discussed at the beginning, you're not really going to have use for after the first few stages. But the thing that makes him good, again, aside from being an int-type youth category unit, so he randomly changes key spheres of a certain type, so just a random colour, changes them all to rainbow, and then he recovers 6,666 HP per rainbow key sphere obtained. So obviously, EZAs, you cannot use items, so any units that you can bring that not only fit well into the team, but then offer you a really nice amount of healing are very, very useful. Like in the later stages where this guy can't stun, even if you just leave him in the 3rd slot as a floating unit, it means every time he comes onto the rotation, you'll be able to plan out your orbs for that turn and then give him a whole ton of rainbow orbs and get a whole bunch of health back, which in the later stages is obviously going to allow you to survive that much longer. So in the EZAs where I have gotten to ridiculously high stages, it's always easier when you have a decent healing unit on the team. So he is going to be very good for that, and everyone should be able to get him because, like I said, even if you weren't playing the game when he first came around, his event will go live with the EZA, so you can always get him first, farm him up. I can't remember if his event has a boost to his drop rate, but he doesn't have an awakening. You don't need to get a load of extra medals. You literally just need to farm the copies for him. You probably could get away without even using dupes as long as you fully level him up, but there you go. That's obviously for those who only want to get to stage 30. So then we have the Int Goten. This is a unit that I've talked about a lot in the past. He's a very good defensive unit. He is RNG based though, so he gives himself 80% attack, so he can hit reasonably hard, and then he has a high chance to reduce damage received by 40%, which is a 50% chance. If this triggers, I would think even in stage 30 itself, because for me this guy is Rainbow, if this passive triggers, he's just going to take no damage whatsoever. Like even from a super attack on stage 30, I would imagine he would take maybe a couple of thousand at most, if his passive triggers. Fortunately, if it doesn't, he is still an int unit in the youth category, so he should still be okay, but he definitely can get hit fairly hard if his passive doesn't activate in a normal event. But yeah, I would definitely recommend using him if you have him. He's another unit that I think people sleep on, probably because of the RNG of his passive. You could definitely have him lose you certain events if that doesn't activate, but he's another unit that desperately needs an awakening to make him really, really good. But he is the next person I'll be bringing. And then I think, is this the last one? So yeah, the last one is, this again is a unit that's quite rare now because we don't really see the type banners anymore. So this is the Super Int support Kid Gohan. So for Super Int types, he gives 3 key and then attack and defense 40%, which is huge for the other 2 units that are on the rotation with him. Especially, for example, if like one of them was LR Gohan, then the amount of damage he's going to deal is ridiculous. He himself won't deal a lot of damage because he is a like pure support unit in that sense. He won't do a lot of damage. He'll get hit fairly hard, but he's going to buff everyone else massively. If we had him on the same rotation as LR Gohan, or say Kid Goku on the turn where he gets his active skill, then yeah, the amount of damage is just going to be insane. So I think if you have him, it's a very good idea to bring him, especially if you are running a completely Super Int team. So that is the team I'll be bringing. So then we got a couple of honourable mentions. So we've got this Gohan, free to play from the Lord Slug event. The Lord Slug event was on recently. I don't know if it goes away by the time the maintenance is finished. So some of you might not have him. But he's a free-to-play unit. He lowers attack, which is only really useful for the first couple of phases. But he reduces damage by 30%, and he gives 20% attack for all allies. So he's definitely a decent stand-in. Pretty obvious just from his passive why he would be useful to the team. Then we have this other Gotenks from the Goku and Friends Return event, which again was on, possibly ends after the maintenance. I didn't actually check any of the end times for some of these events, but he lowers defense, which is pretty decent, and then he just gets attack and defense plus 50%. Nothing overly special, but especially if you brought units like the Gotenks and Ghost, they will at least link very well together. And we are obviously looking at ideally int youth units, which is why he makes it on here. Plus he's a free-to-play unit. As long as you were playing the game around the time this event was on, I think it's been on a good like 4 or 5 times on Global now, so it's very likely that you'll be able to have him. Then we have the B-Pan. So on JP, Gotenks got his EZA after the 4 year, so she was already an LR. If she was already an LR, then she definitely has much more of a place on the team. But for us on Global now, only having her as a TUR, she also only has an RNG defensive passive. So she has a 50% chance to reduce damage by 50%. Once it activates, it's active for the rest of the turn. But it is definitely the case, like that Goten, and now especially for her, because she's not an int type. If this passive doesn't activate, she'll probably take quite a lot of damage. So she's definitely a slightly more risky option, but she is also a healer. She does 30% of damage dealt as HP, so if you get off a crit and then maybe even an additional super in the same turn, she is going to give you a decent amount of healing. The best way to balance it is if you do try to use her, you just need to see how much she is healing you based on how much she's getting hit for, and then you can tell whether it's worth having her or not. Because if she's not healing you anywhere near as much as she's then taking in damage, then she's probably not worth having on the team. But she should do okay up to stage 30 as long as her passive activates. Kind of similar is the other Pan, so because they have different names, they can actually be run as a rotation that will be very good defensively. So she has a built-in chance to dodge, which after 4 turns builds up to 60%, which is pretty good. And then she gets defense 120% for 7 turns from the start of the turn. Attack 70% is all good and fine, but 120% defense. And she raises defense when she super attacks. If you link her up with the B-Pan, they share most of the same links, including the 15% defense link. So she will actually be able to defend fairly well. Again, maybe in the higher stages, maybe even stage 30 itself, she might take a fair bit of damage. But, you know, like I say, we're in the honourable mentions here. These aren't like the top picks for the team. And then the last one I highlighted here was the EZA Goten, if you don't have the int one. He is a very good unit. He's probably the best of the Family Kamehameha EZA units. He gets no real defense boost from his passive apart from the standard 70%. He raises defense from his super attack. So as long as he supers first, again, just like the Pan, really, As long as he super attacks first, he should be able to defend reasonably well. Maybe not in the higher stages, but there you go. And then if you don't have any of the units that I mentioned here, jump on the wiki, check out the category, or I guess filter by category in your own game, see who you've got. I guess Bulma could be okay, but again, she has an RNG passive, so that would be kind of dangerous. Any of the AGL units are definitely a liability once you get to the higher stages. This Goku Jr. is not bad. Obviously, JP had his EZA by the time they got the Gotenks EZA, and we don't, so he could be okay. Again, he's a free-to-play unit, so a lot of people might have him. The EZA Gohan might be okay. He's probably not the best. And then none of the physical units really stand out to me. So let me know down below what you are planning to use for your team. I'm interested to see if anyone has put together the exact same team as me. I will be streaming the event. I do have work today. I will be at work by the time the event actually comes out. So I'll have to stream it probably this evening. So stay tuned for that. I will put a notification up on the channel to let you guys know when that is going to be. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. You can follow my Twitch channel or join my Discord. The link is in the description below. And I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.